It was just after midnight on July 6, 2012, in the quiet town of Star City, West Virginia. 16-year-old Skylar Neese climbed out of her bedroom window, her heart racing with excitement. She had texted her two best friends earlier that evening. "Come get me." They were coming to pick her up for a late-night adventure, the kind of spontaneous fun that made teenage summers unforgettable. She slipped into the back seat of the waiting car, laughing as it pulled away into the darkness. She never came home. What followed was one of the most horrifying betrayals in modern true crime history. The two girls Skylar trusted most, Sheila Eddy and Rachel Schoaf, drove her across the state line into Pennsylvania, stabbed her more than 50 times in a remote wooded area, and left her body hidden under branches like discarded trash. For 6 agonizing months, they played the role of grieving friends, posting on Facebook about how much they missed her, joining search parties, crying on camera for news crews, all while knowing exactly where Skylar's decomposing remains lay. This is the story of friendship turned lethal, of teenage jealousy and secrets that ended in unimaginable violence, and of a family left to pick up the pieces of a life stolen too soon. It's a tale that still haunts Morgantown and the true crime community today. A reminder that sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who can hurt you the most. Skylar Marie Neese was the kind of girl everyone noticed. Bright, funny, loyal, with a smile that lit up rooms. She worked at a local Walmart, dreamed of becoming a forensic psychologist, and was counting down the days until she could leave for college. Her parents, Dave and Mary Neese, described her as their little shadow, the daughter who called home every single day without fail. Since middle school, Skylar, Sheila and Rachel moved as one. Sleepovers, mall runs, whispered secrets. They called each other sisters. In photos, all smiles at dusk. In quieter moments, two lean together and a third lingers a step behind. Behind the selfies, the balance shifted. Sheila and Rachel grew closer. Skylar found herself left off group chats, waiting for replies. According to Rachel's later statements, the two shared a secret romantic relationship and feared Skylar might expose it. Resentment simmered, loyalty frayed, and private jokes turned into private plans. Planning didn't sound like plotting. It sounded casual. In science class, after-school hangouts, whispered car rides, they tested stories and times. They discussed knives, clothes, where to park, and how no one would know. Fear of exposure mixed with resentment. By early July, they had a spot across the Pennsylvania line and a night in mind. All that remained was the drive into the dark. In the early hours of July 6th, they drove Skylar into Greene County, Pennsylvania, back to a remote pull-off they had scouted. The laughter thinned, the plan hardened. They had brought knives. Headlights faded as they eased to a stop. At the turnout, a signal, then chaos. The two turned on Skylar, stabbing her again and again. More than 50 wounds. She fought, screamed, pleaded with the girls she called sisters. The trees swallowed the sound. Then came the quiet. They dragged her deeper and covered her with fallen branches and leaves. Then they drove home on empty roads. Water and soap ran over cold steel. Clean up like routine. At dawn in Morgantown, an empty bed waited. Skylar did not return. At dawn, Dave Neese found Skylar's bed empty, her window cracked open, phone and charger still on the nightstand. He called her job, then the police. A missing person report was filed within hours, and officers canvassed the complex while cameras gathered outside the station. The first hint that this would not be a simple runaway. By afternoon, neighbours formed lines in the woods. Flyers blanketed storefronts, and Sheila and Rachel stood with Skylar's parents, crying for the news, while silently carrying the truth. Months after Skylar vanished, Rachel's nights curdled into nightmares. She cut her wrists and was hospitalized. To her mother, she whispered she knew something about what happened, but couldn't bring herself to say it. Meanwhile, Sheila grew erratic. There were talks of a polygraph, irrelevant in court, but telling. On January 3, 2013, Rachel arrived with an attorney and agreed to talk. In a calm, halting voice, Rachel described the planning, the late-night drive into Pennsylvania, the dozens of wounds, and the place they left Skylar. She directed detectives to a shallow grave. Investigators later found Skylar's remains exactly where she indicated. Soon after Rachel Schoaf's confession, police moved on Sheila Eddy. She denied it at first, but investigators had already begun stitching together a case she couldn't outrun. Cell pings at 4 a.m. in Pennsylvania, CCTV contradictions, trace DNA, and witnesses sealed the case. The legal aftermath drew national attention as pleas and sentences unfolded. In May 2013, Rachel Schoaf pled guilty to second-degree murder and received a juvenile sentence of 30 years, parole eligible after 10. Her parole bids were denied repeatedly through 2014 to 2024. She waived review in 2025. Her next chance is set for June 2026. In January 2014, Sheila Eddy pled guilty to first-degree murder, life with mercy, making her parole eligibility after 15 years, with the first hearing possible in 2028. As of March 2026, both are incarcerated at the Lakin Correctional Center. A new 2026 Hulu docuseries, Friends Like These, The Murder of Skylar Neese, features her parents speaking candidly about the betrayal. Dave Neese says, "They didn't just kill our daughter. They killed the trust we had in the world." According to court filings and Rachel Schoaf's statements, the motive was a toxic braid of jealousy, simmering resentment, and a gnawing fear that Skylar would expose their secret relationship. Rachel would later say they just didn't like her anymore, a chilling shrug that masked a deeper panic about being found out. Morgantown reeled, classrooms, pews and sidewalks thick with grief, while the true crime world searched for meaning and warnings about violence among friends. In the end, the motive says less about reason and more about cruelty. For Skylar's town and for us, the shadow remains. As the echoes of this case fade into the night, one truth remains. Some shadows never fully lift. Here at Shadows of the Unresolved, we peel back the layers of the cases that refuse to rest. If you felt that chill, if you need to know what hides just beyond the light, hit that subscribe button now, turn on notifications, and step deeper into the shadows with us. Because the truth is still out there, waiting. Until the next unresolved mystery, stay watchful.